We're live. Oh gosh, I'm a mess. Who all's in the house? We've got Lars here. He says no Oldsmobiles were hurt during the felling of these trees. I actually thought of that as I was trimming them up. Unfinished Project was here, and he says times are tough, and he's got some money-saving tips. You hear all this noise over here. I'm having to go back to my corded mouse. But he says tips to save money from Unfinished Project. Cancel your car insurance. Stop paying those credit card bills. Get 1 month of free internet, then cancel and sign up for another month of free internet. Become a real estate investor. He probably thought of that one as he was looking at my tree I was cutting up. I'm going to make negative X on my real estate investments this month, that's for sure. Sell chocolate chip cookies, but secretly use inexpensive raisins instead. Yeah, right on. Let me borrow $1 and I'll give you $2 tomorrow. Trust me, I'm a good guy. That's Lars. And the Unfinished Project says, get involved in the transportation of contraband. Oh, there you go. I don't think you probably had to tell most of these people that stuff, but good stuff to know. Twisted Dennis is here. Pure Pontiac Garage Die-Cast Dreams Customs. My Aunt Nancy is watching. JB's Little Shop. And Shugu. Where you see one, you see the other. Victor wants to borrow some Shugu. I got some old shoes. You can heat them up. And it's funny because Victor's looking for armrests for his 62 Lancer, and YouTube rejected my comment. It would not let me put the comment until I reformatted it. I suggested getting one armrest off a two-door car and cutting it in half. It's a perfect match, right? Let's see here. Turbo Tom is here. Says he wishes the State Patrol would stop using Durangos. I bet that means you got lit up by one today, didn't you? Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn is here. Lovejoy is here. Bigfoot Mark is here. Kim Fixes Things suggests using all your money to buy lottery tickets as a way to get ahead. There you go. We've got Colleen Tebow, a.k.a. Mama M Cubed, M3. Jonathan Reed says, good to see no chainsaw wounds. Yep, I was using his chainsaw to cut up trees. That was fun and eventful. Nothing got hurt. Nothing got torn up. Most of the old parts is Friday Night Live with John Wilbur. Life is good. Ron, I know you got more of a life than that. But I'm glad you're here. Thank you for swinging by. JB suggested using a 2x4 and some stain. It works. JB would know. Walther Edie, greetings from Norway. Your name is Walther, like the pistol? That's pretty cool, man. J-Bo is here. Blue Grit Walter. Oh, Turbo Tom has to. Oh, yeah. You're technicians. You got to fix that junk. That's right. I forgot. Oh, I thought the first generations of Durangos were bad. I'll tell you what, I was actually thinking about buying a new Dakota years ago, and I found out they only put that third gen Hemi back when it was new and novel. They only put it in the Durango. They didn't put it in the Dakota. I said, well, you know what? That's good, because there was no other reason I would have entertained that newer square-looking plasticky Dakota. So Andrew Nelson is here, says, good evening. How's it going, sir? Mopars, Mustangs, and Minivans. Damien is here. Well, how are all of you? Danny Boyd says, I missed 3 minutes. The only thing I'll recommend from the first 3 minutes is scroll up and look at Unfinished Projects Tips to Save Money. That's worth it. NSB Custom Cars, who did make it through the hurricane very well, said lots of cleanup and water everywhere, but no real damage, so that's really good to know. Durangos aren't bad unless they have a 4.7. Yeah, the 4.7, yeah, those are not very durable engines. On paper, they look great. And then in reality, it just doesn't take much for those things to spin a bearing. Ask me how I know. JB says a small block Chevy will never let you down. Yeah, those are dependable little engines. They really are. If I had to choose between a small block Chevy and a small block Chrysler, I'd take the small block Chrysler 10 out of 10 times. But the small block Chevy is a good engine. I will certainly give it a lot of credit for that. Hugh Robinson is here. How's it going, sir? Hugh's got some, what is that you're building over there, Hugh? It's an LS, like an LS3 or something? Tony's Hot Rod Garage is here. He made 400 subs today. Well, you've got a lot of time to get 100 more. Oh, yeah. So I've heard something about this that Damien's talking about from the Facebook page. Apparently, and I'm not going to mention who. If you're curious, you can go look at the AHRA No Name Nationals fan page on Facebook, because I don't have Facebook. I'm not over there. People send me stuff. It's a shame. We just have some haters that are so insanely jealous of this community. They will do things like that. And that's a real shame. Lovejoy says both 4.7s I've ever seen idled so low they weren't oiling the top end and locked up at idle in high school parking lot. If they get the least bit hot, they're done. If the oil gets dirty, they're done. They're not real super durable engines. They make good power. They're really not bad at all. They make a lot more power per cube than, say, a 318 or even a 360. Hugh says, finally I made the live. Yeah, glad you're here. Danny Boyd says, my Corolla popped a brake line today. Well, the good news is Corollas aren't hard to work on. Just fix it and drive it another 100,000. That's how you get ahead, is driving stuff like that. 4.7 porous head castings. They did have a lot of fleas that came with that dog, that's for sure. I did make one video about a 4.7. I did an April Fool's video years ago about putting a 4.7 in the Dart Sport. And I know I got a bunch of y'all right till the end. Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage, how's it going, sir? JB says Facebook's a bunch of miserable people. As soon as Facebook came out, that's what it looked like. It looked like a bacterial breeding ground for miserable people and old people complaining to each other on the internet. And I said, you know what? I just know where it's going, and I don't want to get involved. So YouTube is it. That's all I do. Yeah, Danny Boyd says, I never heard of the 4.7 before that video, so you really got me. Yeah, it's a funny video. We had fun making it. Oh, yeah, Andrew Nelson. They got a video out. I've just seen the thumbnail. I have yet to watch the video, but I'm sure that it delivers on the thumbnail. 1,000 rear-wheel horsepower on their inline-6 Camaro. Mostly old parts wrong. Ward says disposable cars. It's cheaper to keep her 400,000 miles on my 98 Neon and 240,000 on my Honda Civic. Yes. The CRV's got 355,000. And it was working yesterday. If you saw the thumbnail to this, which I know a lot of you guys on mobile might not have. So I don't know what the trailer weighs, but I can just feel pulling it. I bet it's 2,500 pounds easy. I unhooked the trailer to put a strap on the CRV to pull some limbs out of the hedgerow after I cut them. CRV was working like a truck yesterday, but it's a champ. Tony's Hot Rod Garage. He really enjoys working on his 2012 International 4300s. And Lars puts up the link to the Nelson's new video, and check that one out. It's good stuff. All their stuff is good stuff. I thoroughly enjoy the Nelson's videos they drop. Yeah, Calvin put out a video on his Fairmont wagon, making it into the 8s in the quarter mile. So, and also when they put it in the thumbnail, they deliver. There's no clickbait over there. So, check them out. Lovejoy's doing his No Name Nationals video. Well, cool. That's kind of the nice thing is that spread them out. So you'll get new No Name Nationals content for well over a month. And then a lot more after that. I see people putting out videos 6 months later, which is cool. Dead of winter. And you get to watch a fun video that was filmed in Sikeston. JB is trying to give Andy a 96 Thunderbird. Well, I know Andy could do something with it. Rapid Transit J is here. Dust Devil Garage is here. Party can't start without Brian. Yeah, so I know this is a Wednesday night thing, and I don't know, I'm not in on the whole. Yes, Jonathan, they all are. I'm not in on what's going on with that 333 class stuff that Dallas and Professor Pete are talking about. But yeah, I was telling Brian, with a 2810 5-tire / 275/60/15, you have those tires running 3s in the 8th mile. The radials are in the 3s in the 8th mile. I kind of think we're to the point where, I wouldn't worry at all about letting cars with steamrollers running that class. I just think you want to make a weight penalty, make a weight penalty, because there's people like Brian, there's people like Mohawk. There are people out there who, when they say, what size tire do you want? They just said yes. So, or they look at the slicks on Jegs or something and just go to the bottom of the listings. That's my tire. I wouldn't have any problem with that, but hey, whatever they figure out over there, that's just my 2 cents when it comes to tires and class racing. And it's not a bracket, so. Ron says a 96 T-Bird, another great car to induct into the Tunnel Ram Mafia. Yes, sir, it would be. That would look good next to Dallas's 89 T-Bird in the Tunnel Ram Mafia. Bigfoots and Mopar says 29 12.5s on Kragers. Yes, sir. Yeah, I would run all of that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what we'll do yet, but I'm wanting to change what we do for our faster class stuff for next year at the No Name Nationals. And I'm kind of thinking I want to do something where we can allow, whatever size tire. The thing about 28-10-5 is that it's such a universal class anywhere in the country. Like if you say small tire class, that's understood everywhere. And so that's really was the easy way to have a class to No Name Nationals. But I think we're kind of at the point where we need to tailor something a little more for what we're doing. And Ron says, kind of sounds like modified eliminator. Yeah, it kind of does. But I mean, if there's guys that want to bring small inch, high winded engines to the No Name Nationals to run in a class, great. I mean, shiny car class. Well, that's Bigfoots and Mopars. He pioneered that class to Jack Pine Savage. I will say though, the shiny cars have won our People's Choice. That they have. I mean, look at that beautiful Chevelle wagon that won this year. Everybody was talking about that thing. JB says, tell me the No Name Nationals not get away from grassroots. No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's exactly what I am talking about, is making sure that it stays in its roots. We do have a legit car show. We fill up the whole parking lot at Lambert's. We have a cruise over there. We're going to improve upon that for next year, too. Just letting you know. Bigfoot Mark, I'm letting you know. We're improving upon the cruise and show at Lambert's for next year. Most of the old parts is that absorb the weight break. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Because I got to tell you, 3,000 pounds is light. Street cars are all going to come in more than that. Colleen, we had a novice bracket on Saturday for people who never won a bracket or runner-up in a bracket on Saturday. We had that. And the idea is people could come in there and get some experience, say, hey, this is a lot of fun, go work on it at their local track and come back and get in the Friday bracket in 2025. Instigator was the loudest car there. Instigator was rattling the windows in the tower. You can see Instigator on the J Long Time 20 channel. That car, the Duck, and the Slingshot are channel cars there. Yes, JB's got a good transfer case video I want to check out. Shiny car class. Thought we were supposed to fix our oil leaks. That's the only way your car gets shiny. You got a nasty oil leak. LC Chapel, hopping in to say hi. How's it going? Andrew Nelson says, I want to do a gasser class. Okay, where are the other 15 of them going to come from? I love gassers. I think it's great. I mean, maybe Southeast Gassers is old enough now that maybe there's been some guys completely kicked out of their own class over there. I don't know. But do remember, this is a YouTube, it's a content creator community first. But if this community wants to have guys that have gassers and that kind of thing, that's great. I'm all for it. I like gassers. I like safe ones. I've seen some really sketchy gasser builds before. So I saw a Nova one time that had the, this was a local track here, had the rack and pinion. It was bolted on the straight axle. And then it had these little small steering joints that were getting hammered to death. And I thought, that's a wreck waiting to happen. JB's video lining up for the group photo. Yes, I agree. Bad Tree Blake says Heathens Assemble. Yes, sir. Dust Devil says they opened up engine size. Okay, cool. So I'm one of these people that likes to let the news settle a little bit before I watch it go in a bunch of different directions. So we'll just kind of see where that goes from. Jared Rigney had a huge bowl of spaghetti with tuna and hot sauce, that kind of gasser. No, but I'm sure somebody'd like to have you on the pit crew. Damien says, I need a larger motor for next year on my monkey bike. Yeah, man. Or 236cc, and those things are flying. But we're going to keep that speed brake out. I really liked seeing how quick those things were, but I really don't want to see them go any faster. Yeah, we're gonna do more for monkey bike next year. Those things are really cool. They've really got some good stuff going. Bigfoots and Mopar says, can't run with the Brewer City gassers with my Belvedere because it has cow tracks. Well, I'll tell you, I don't like all of those kind of arbitrary rules. I know that we have a two-stick car touring camps around here. And the reason we have two is because one of them will allow a Lenco and one won't, because a couple guys had Lencos and the other ones don't. I'm just kind of silly, I think. But oh yeah, a bigger motor, not engine. Yeah, that's right. He wants another electric motor. Well, go for it. Find you another one. Run them in parallel. Cope Racing Transmissions is here. The lamb is the light. Hello, sir. Or ma'am. I just see the lamb is the light. You have to love Buck riding on his bike. Yeah. Yeah, I like where Monkey Bike is going. I like that. We'll just keep making refinements and improvements. And we will be talking about, is this a motorcycle channel? No, it is not. But that said, if you have a motorcycle, welcome. We have a monkey bike class that runs the No Name Nationals. And several monkey bikers are in here now. Now, one thing, if we have enough pre-registrations and it looks like the budget's going to shape up to do it, I wouldn't mind doing another movie, Thursday night movie after Lambert's. So it's a thought. I mean, I know Dallas loved it, and as did I. Just needs to be feasible. Danny Boyd says, Hemi head for a monkey bike. Yeah, I don't think it's prohibited. 113 is though, yeah, 113 Cycles. That's our resident motorcycle channel. Go check him out. 113 Cycles, Ryan, good dude. More Mopar. We just have a lot of Mopar people here. Although we have seen an increasing percentage of other makes. So as a make, the percentage of Mopars has decreased slightly, but we have more total Mopars because the event has grown. So we've had a lot of Pontiacs, had a lot of Fords, a lot of GM, and yes, we do have a lot of Mopar. I live in the apocalypse. I totally believe that. Andrew Nelson says Bigfoot is greater than. Okay. Lars puts up the link for 113 Cycles. Yeah, good dude. Check his channel out. He's there in Arkansas. So what does this chat think? Is a third gen Hemi a real Hemi? Or is it the clip-on tie of Hemis or the instant mashed potato of Hemis? What do you guys think? Do you call a third gen Hemi the same as a Hemi like you would a first or second gen Hemi? What do you think? Not that this chat ever has any opinions. Frizzell went to the Bigfoot Festival in South Carolina. Okay. I never even thought about a Bigfoot Festival, but that's pretty cool. Mark would know about them. Cope says, here we go. I'm going to let them go. I already told you what I thought. Danny Boyd says it's the third banana Hemi. Laura says it's the Joe Dirt of Hemis. BNR says it's a Hemi. Okay. Second generation Hemi is the undisputed king. I will agree. JB says the original Hemi is the one. So do you mean the first gen Hemi? T says Gen 3 is a Hemi, but that's the only Hemi I can afford. There's a lot to that. Mostly old parts wrong word. Here's the opinion I was waiting on. Third gen Hemi is not a real Hemi. Other than the chamber being different and two plugs and oblong and different, it's just like the original Hemi. The LS of Hemis, yes, that it is. But I don't consider that an insult because I think the LS is a great engine. And I did an LS swap before they were even a thing. I did an LS swap a long time ago. They're great engines. The Lamb is the lights in Western North Carolina. Well, that's cool. What about my first gen Hemi? I'll tell you what about it. The cost of machine work is astronomical. That's the reason that thing has not moved, because it needs a lot of machine work. It's been apart for a long time. I have, for those of you who don't know, I have a 341-inch 57 DeSoto Hemi. I know what I want to do with it, but machine work is outrageous. Not saying it's not worth it, not saying those guys don't earn their money, but it's just out of sight. So I'm hanging on for a little while on that one. But yes, I do have a first gen Hemi I think would be really cool in an A-body. So Ron says the LS is a better engine than the third gen Hemi, and both are better than a modular Ford. I'd like to see Andy's opinion on that, but I don't doubt that at all. It actually sounds totally plausible to me. Doesn't know about the hemisphere, so I'll go. Well, thanks for floating by. We appreciate you. Yeah, Andrew Nelson says, let me tell you the rules I would do for that. I would just get NMCA's rules for real street and hot street and do a mashup of those two. And that's, although I actually would make it even simpler. To me, I would do it on pounds per cubic inch and then just put penalties and brakes in there on the sides, and that's it. I wouldn't do anything else. Bigfoots and Mopars, I'm pulling the chute on Lee next year. you're going to be running up in the 130s or so to do that. Yes, you know we've had a disaster, don't you? Yes. I had four or five trees down myself, but it was nasty where we were. Yeah, there's a lot of flooding. Our Andy Wood there, he said he showed me some pictures of flooding around where they are. It's pretty rough in some areas of North Carolina. Of course, NSB Customs here, they live in Florida. They just got hit yesterday. T says currently the owner of a 56 DeSoto without an engine, originally a 330 Hemi car. Yeah. See, your car needs my engine. Hot Street doesn't allow manual transmissions. I thought they did. Well, I'm talking about from the 90s, Ron. I don't know. I quit keeping up with them when it turned into a corporate mess. I was thinking Hot Street did. Indeed, it does. Andy says, if I were building for a new class, be a D-stroke big block Chevy. Yes, that's a great combo. Absolutely. Totally agree. That's the best of a lot of different things there. Bigfoots and Mopar says his engine builder Gary has a sweet blown 392 Hemi and a Henry J. That does sound neat. Anyone can throw a turbo on an LS. Let me tell you, naturally aspirated LSs, they can boogie, man. You can put a carburetor on them too. They're just good engines. Yes, no more NMCA, NMRA, right. I thought that NMCA in the 90s had the best class racing program anywhere. Andrew has a 3.47 inch big block Chevy crank. Yeah, that short stroke big block Chevy would be a hot ticket. I agree with that. I like the big block Chevy, actually. Yeah, Andrew's naturally aspirated LS and his Nova went 990 last week. Naturally aspirated. Probably would have gone a little quicker with a little less gear. Well, a little faster anyway. Still gets the wheels up nicely and everything. I like that Nova. I thought that was pretty cool. Did you recycle the what did you recycle the turbos and stuff onto? I don't think they went on the Camaro, did they? I can't remember. Taking a page from Ritter Morrison. Yes, David Ritter did exactly that. Ron says 360 AMC with Fred Brewer B1 heads and a 69 Rambler. Sure. I'd like to see that. JB takes his hat off to Andrew. Let me tell you, if it can be done, that shop of the Nelsons, it'll come out of there. Yeah, Ron says with a bit of persuading, B1 heads will work on an AMC. Yeah, I could see that. How different are the bore centers? I'm assuming they're very close. Tom says it only took 9 days to get the correct coolant tube. Whatever you were working on, I'm glad it wasn't me. Yeah, Andy's digging that too. Yeah, I like that. I know that Andy's heads on his truck, those Cleveland style heads will fit an LS. It's only 20 thousandths difference in the bore space. Danny Boyd wants to see a 400 shootout between all the various 400s the big three made. That'd be neat. That would be neat. Depends if you could build them or if they have to be factory stock, because that would change a lot of things. I'm kind of thinking if you did that and it was factory stock, I'm kind of thinking that 402 inch 396 or whatever might be the hot ticket. 400 Mopar be close behind. Identical bore centers, the water and oil passages to rearrange. Yeah. Okay. Neat. I like stuff like that. Then there's JB with his little 2.8. Yeah, I like it. I really enjoy getting to see JB run that truck. Little red S10 with a supercharged 2.8. Yeah, if Mopar would offer the 400 with more than 8.5 to 1. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's the what if. See, that's why I said stock. Because if you look at it, those 400 modifieds of Fords, the stuff with the 400 big block Chrysler, yeah, the smog era stuff, you can really make those engines come to life. Huh, I didn't know that. So you use an LT style cam. Okay, that's cool. I guess the firing order. And Ron likes the 400 Pontiac. Yeah, I'll tell you, that would make a lot of torque too. Yeah, you do have a lot of 400 inch options there. Yeah, I like that. But 400 inch now, when you say that, that's small block. I can't remember who I was talking with, but I mean, hardly anybody builds a small block under 400 inches anymore because of these cheap 4-inch Chinese cranks for $339. And hardly anybody's building a big block under 500 cubic inches anymore. It's literally cheaper to build this big inch stuff because of these Chinese parts. The 400 Olds was a slug. The 400 Olds is a boat anchor. JB's got his eye on the 454. I like those engines. I think they're cool. Jared Rigney, who was just in here, has a truck that came from the sign company he used to work for. It's a cool old truck. It's actually on my channel. You can see it. It's been a few years back, but you can see it. We did a video on it. It had a 350 that was supposedly good, and it was. It had been raining down in it for years. I bet we drained a gallon of pure water out of the oil pan. I told him the hot ticket for that truck is find a 454 and stick in it. But it's already got a turbo 400, 14-bolt rear. It's 3/4 ton. 454 would be the hot ticket for that. No replacement for displacement. I agree. Of course, that said, people play with all the, supercharged, turbocharged nitrous and all that stuff. But ultimately, I think there is no replacement for displacement. Bigfoot Marks is my backup 440 will be 520. There you go. BNR says 2 Olds 400s were made. One had the 425 crank. The other one is a 4 1/4 stroke crank from the 455. Huh. Okay. Yeah, there's a big hole in my knowledge when it comes to Oldsmobile. Hardly worked on any of them, and I'm not complaining. Andy suggested Jay build that 4.6 in that T-Bird. Yeah, put that in the S10. Put your Ford engine in your red S10. Oldsmobiles were cool. Yeah, some of them were. I tell you what, I really liked that black Oldsmobile that Marty from Useful Entertainment had at the No Name Nationals. That was a really cool car. I'll show a picture of something Dallas had sent me right before the live. He's at Cruising the Coast. He's been talking about this. He said, I heard you could just take the rings out if you run them 4 blowers. He was saying all kinds of stuff. Is this how you make power with a GM? And he had a lot of good stuff to say about that one. I thought that was pretty cool. Cope said had a 69 Tornado. Yeah, Cope, I think, is still looking for a TH425, the sideways TH400 that they put in the Tornado and those Cadillacs that were front wheel drive and the motorhomes and stuff. So if you know where there is an intact, workable TH425 front wheel drive, let us know. And not one that's still connected to an engine laying on the ground, and not one that's been apart out in the rain, and not one that's a bunch of money. BNR says, I'm an Oldsmobile fan also. Well, that makes sense. You're a Pontiac guy, so that makes sense. He ran an Olds 425 in a 63 Grand Prix. You know what? There's a lot of people that would like to see you bring one of your Pontiacs to No Name Nationals next year, BNR. So if you can do it, we'd love to see it. You have two cool Pontiacs. And if you can't, still show up, bracket your truck again, which is cool, which is great. We like to see you. But, if you have the chance, there's a lot of people who'd like to see one of your Pontiacs there. Either of them. Hunter says Hunter at Sam Mountain Ballistics did a short on that car with all the blowers. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, check that out on Hunter's channel. I'm sure it's the same car. Mostly Old Parts is asking, did GM put the 425 in that funky front-wheel drive recreation vehicle? I know they put it in that motorhome with the low floor. I actually really like those motorhomes. I think those are cool. If I was going to have a retro motorhome, that's what it would be. The GMC with the low floor and front wheel drive. Andy says, back when I was a teenager, a guy had a rail buggy with a mid-engine and a TH425. Right on. I like that. And Cope, if you're still in here, what is it with that one? Isn't that one where you can make 3 speeds in reverse and 1 forward? I know you can do that for a fact on the Volkswagen because I've done it on a 66 Beetle transaxle. I'm trying to think. That might be one that actually spins the correct direction in the first place. Yeah, I think that one rotates the other direction in the first place for doing a mid-engine. Yeah, I know there was some way to do it with that. There's actually a lot of stuff that GM and Ford made that I like. It's just a lot of it's kind of abstract to what I do with everything else. When Andy was a teenager, Coca-Cola still had real sugar in it. Come on, Ron. Yeah, Andy's younger than me. Levi says, I think next year for No Name Nationals, I'm going to bring the ramp truck in Brooks Riviera. With my luck, the Laguna at No Name Nationals isn't doing me any favors. Do what you want. Do what makes you happy. You know what, Levi? I would like to see you come to a No Name Nationals. You and Brooke get to come, make some passes, have fun, and not have to thrash and work on stuff. So maybe that's the ticket. Battery Blake says, I want to see somebody do a north-south Dodge Intrepid V8 swap. That would be interesting. They have a trans tunnel. I didn't know they still have the transmission tunnels. That's weird. I know the Dodge Intrepid is 16 feet long, has a curb weight of 3,310 pounds, and the width, the length, and the weight are exactly the same as a 1970 Dodge Swinger with a 318 V8. I thought that was really wild. I did think they were weird cars, though. Ron says, Dylan, appreciate your can-do attitude. Me too. I like it. Levi's a warrior. I really like to see him fight the good fight to get back out and make another pass. That was a good thrash he had going on, and he comes out every year, and we really appreciate that. He sets a good example for work ethic and making it out to No Name Nationals. Because, that's really what it's about. We just want to see everybody come out and have a good time, and that's our time to meet in person, and that's just what it's about. And the cars follow. Indirect Connection says small blocks do not fit in Intrepids. Oh, if you had a good enough fire wrench, they would. Tell us specifically, Jason, have you seen somebody try to swap one in there? And what did they run into? Tony says 360 swap a PT Cruiser. Yes, in the back. Make a Hemi under glass style PT Cruiser. I have a short block for a PT Cruiser sitting in my garage, and it's practically new condition. It's a complete short block, and it was donated to New River Community College, and the only thing I've ever done with it is I tripped over it 20-some years ago, and I put a horseshoe-shaped scar on my knee from the dowel pin on the deck. So, if anybody's doing a PT Cruiser resto, I might have something for you. 6th Street Garage says Coke hasn't been any good since 1985. Wasn't that the year when they tried to go with new Coke and they never got it back right? Shop 209's in the house. Hello, John. How's it going? Yeah, Levi had the help of Jason, Scott, Jay. Yeah, great guys. Well, hey, whatever you want to come to No Name Nationals and do it to it. I know that you're getting much closer to that 5-second goal, though. BNR says not many Oldsmobile guys in the No Name Nationals. Well, not yet. Come on out. We'd love to see Oldsmobiles there. Jason said they do fit in the Intrepid. Okay, that makes more sense because if that thing can have a sideways engine like it did, yeah, I would think a small block would fit right in them. And like you said, it has the transmission tunnel. So that makes all kinds of sense. Dizzy says he remembers when Coca-Cola had cocaine. Yeah, I think it had trace amounts of that byproduct, the manufacturing, like back in the early 1900s, maybe. My grandfather was a Coca-Cola delivery driver in 1923. And he retired from Coca-Cola, I guess it would have been in the late 60s, early 70s. Unity Motorsports Garage says that's the car Chrysler should have built. Yeah, I can see that. Ron says the greatest thing about the No Name Nationals is the diversity, not only in the makes of cars, but the lines of thought, theory, and application. Oh, yeah. No one can call our field of cars cookie cutter. It's not Camaro Eliminator. It doesn't look like the pits at any bracket race. It doesn't look like any car show. We have a little of everything. Where else can you see a sling wrecker going down the track and a Model T Ford? And, we really do have a little of everything. And I think it's great. Yeah, when they went back to original Coke, they switched from sugar to high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know what all they changed. Ron says, can we get some not a cookie cutter decals for No Name Nationals 4? I don't know. Why would you need them? Just look at the place. Yeah, no cocaine for over 100. Yeah. I know it was a really early thing, but yeah. Shop 209 says he was stuck in Texas and couldn't get back to make it. Yeah, well, I hope it works out for you next year. We'd all love to see you there. So hopefully it works out. Spoiler alert, Shop 209 will almost certainly bring a Nova. But speaking of shirts, there will probably, this is the last one of these. The last one. These did really well. I knew they'd sell out in minutes, and they did. So we're going to do something cool for next year, too, I'm sure. How'd Lambert's and Skelton Raceway report after the event? Fine. Everything was great. I mean, we don't have any problems with either of them wanting to host us. That's for sure. Bigfoots and Mopar says definitely hard not having a car there. Well, you get to fix it for next year. Oh, okay. Jason says there's a guy in Wisconsin who did a 318 904 8 3/4 swap in an Intrepid. Is there a link to that anywhere? I would love to see that. Andy's crashing out. Cool, man. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate you. Ron says, I really dig the venue and the restaurant. Glad to see we left a positive impression. Mr. Lambert over there is the third generation. He's buddies with Possum, and they roll out the red carpet for us. They love having us there. And if you notice, the employees all come out and we were rolling in. And we're going to improve upon the Crews and Lamberts for next year. Yep, 38 Racing. It was a flash sale, no announcement made, but I'm sure we're going to have a special edition 2025 shirt as well. Later, Blake. Thanks for coming by, buddy. You doing anything good for Halloween? Bigfoots and Mopar's got one more there, and his buddy Cullen's starting a channel. He wants to come out too. Right on. That's how it works. One recruit at a time. We will get there. Yeah, Ron bought the first shirt that came to the tower. Well, cool, man. I just knew those were going to sell out fast. If we hadn't had the timing and lack of amplified sound and that whole thing that we had going on at the burnout competition, we just sold them out right there on the spot. Shop 209, just drive to the event and do a convoy from that area. Just do it. It's just a huge logistics to try to go to a bunch of different tracks and spread it over a week and all that kind of thing. The nice thing about the No Name Nationals is everybody comes to one spot for that one weekend, and that's the point. It doesn't spread it out everywhere. You know, maybe next year Andy will be bringing Casper, driving Casper, and that will be on your route. That'd be neat to see a convoy driving in from the Atlanta area and then come up through that part. That'd be cool. Two-track, 3-day event. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, so Professor P has already been talking about doing something like that to make it really short like that and do it on a weekend at 2 or 3. Yeah, he's talked about that exact thing, Professor P in Dallas. And it would be, you know, opposite season of No Name Nationals. BNR wants to get 3 days off in a row for No Name Nationals in 2025. That's cool. Yeah, the thing about the Crews is in this day and time, you can set a race car up to drive however far it needs to drive. I mean, NASCAR proves that every week. Most of the old parts wants to see Cope, Tope, Casper in on a trailer and rip off a 6-second pass. Well, that would be really interesting. So Unfinished Project has put up the link to the 440 big block Intrepid. Wow, that's different. Levi wants to see Casper and Haney race each other. That could have happened this year. Didn't quite work out. Are you still waiting until January to announce dates? No, we never wait till January. We do it the last Friday of the year. But I really want to make sure that everything else lines up around it. Yeah, Chris Testa drove 849 miles to Sikeston, made passes, and drove home. Yep, right on. I thought that was great. Mrs. One-Eyed Cat's in the house. How's it going, Wendy? How long is the track of No Name Nationals? It's an 1/8 mile with 1,300 feet of shutdown. Ron wants to know the Ruddy Brown Primer Nova with the big wheel stands. That would be James and James. Little James driving. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They get it ironed out. Yeah, they had a lot of hard luck last year. They lost every way you could, and they had a nitrous leak on the starting line at No Name Nationals. But Big and Little James get it ironed out. I'm sure they're going to be bringing something good next year. Cope says Haney is too slow. With the big motor in Haney, I got to tell you, though, I don't know how fast I really want to go in a 66 or 71 Ford truck. Although Haney does drive nice at speed. It's got a Crown Vic front end in it. The only time I've driven Casper was I rode it up on a trailer one time when Andy grenaded that engine and did this right here. I sort of drove it. There was a winch running it. Yeah, Haney's bigger motors than the Cornet, right? What was the quickest pass from a street car this year? Well, I mean, Foster said he drives his S10 on the street. It's tagged and everything. He drives it. I don't know how far or what, but it went a 518. And that was at the event. That day, there were some times later that evening that were a little quicker than that. But, yeah, 518 is the event record. Jack Stands and Cinder Blocks rescued a new project. Right on. Ron prefers nitrous on 1/8 mile tracks. Yes. I really am hoping next year will be the year of the manual transmission. I want to see it. I'm not committed to it just yet, but I really think for our Saturday bracket, a manual transmission Saturday bracket would be really cool. Three pedals, no waiting. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Dizzy said his stock 2013 Avenger did a 947. Not bad. Not bad at all. The 1970 Trans Am is a Muncie 4-speed. Bring it. We want to see it. Bring it out. I really want to do a 4-speed bracket on a Saturday. I think that would be cool. Yeah, so that's a good point, all-around talking point. Shop 209 says that's a big question. In my opinion, if it can drive 150 to 200 miles at a time, it's not a street car. But some people disagree. You know, that's a great question. What makes it a race car? What makes it a street car? And so my definition is, which has evolved over the last 25 years. A street car is a car that in its natural state, not one you got to do a few things so you can drive us, but in its natural state can go do street car stuff. I think it's that simple. If you have to go make little changes to go drive it on the street, it's not really a street car. It's really a race car that you make some tweaks to go drive on the street. I really think it's that simple. I mean, people used to say pump gas was a threshold, but we live in the E85 age now. And aluminum heads and all of that, not really. Cope says stick versus trans brake race. Well, your trans brake's already allowed in the bracket for Friday. Why don't we see if we can get a bracket winner on Friday with a CRT trans brake and see if they'll call out the winner of the stick car bracket on the Saturday and do a match race. I'd be all for that. They might even have Cardboard Cope watching really close to the wall on the big end. Levi says, my car is a streetable race car. I've driven it to Lambert's. Yeah, he drove it to Lambert's. I remember the first year anyway, he drove it in. Bigfoot Mark says, just have to change a pulley. Yeah, this is just, it's interesting times. It did 1,800 miles to go to No Name Nationals and back. Yeah, some people made some long drives. Blue Grit's trying to get Anna to learn how to drive stick shift. Rode along at Sykeston. Yeah. Well, learn to shift well and then learn to shift fast. It'll get there. BNR wants to see Hurst ramrod shifters. I don't care what kind of shifter. I want to see one that's actually shifted by the driver. I mean, gosh, even Pro Stock requires that, right? Shop 209's driven 400 miles, unhooked the trailer, went 1123 on the motor. Yep, that's great. Love it. Levi said he wouldn't be afraid to cruise Laguna 1,000 miles. But here's the thing. Theoretically, I would. It could. I'm saying if the car in its natural state does street car stuff, it's a street car. No matter how quick it is, no matter how outrageous or how bad the drivability is, if it does street car stuff in its natural state, not you have to pop the hood, do these things, and change these tires. No, that's not no more than if you take your street car and you say, well, it's a race car. I just have to uncork the exhaust and change the tires. Well, that's not a race car. It's a street car that you make some changes to race. And both are great. And if you do both with no changes to your car, more power to you. I think that's great too. So Ron's definition is licensed, registered, wipers, horns, street tires, defroster, all exhaust exiting through a muffler, no dealer tags, non-racing seats, no Lexan, full carpet headliner. Ron, I don't own a street car by that definition. My van and CRV aren't street cars. If you're going to count all that. A100 seats are non-racing seats. Well, that's true. I guess unless you own like a Hurst car. See, there's so many ways you can try to come up with that. The main reason I tow is to have air conditioning. What's air conditioning? Unfinished Project says, Dizzy, it's possibly going to be my youngest child's first transportation. We haven't decided yet. It's between the Valiant or a D100. We might flip a coin. B&R says trans break off versus Muncie 4-speed, Mopar 8.3. I think he means 833 and a Ford top loader. Ron says real street cars can use 300 plus treadwear rear tires. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could figure that out, but I think it's as simple as, does it actually do street car stuff the way it actually lives? That's I think about as pure definition as you can get. All I know is Jed says I don't either. Whatever goes to that. And thank you for the swag at No Name Nationals, Jed. I appreciate that. Glad you could swing by tonight. I see you've got Jezebel Charger in your channel name now. It's interesting. Yeah, only my 73 follows Ron's rule for a street car. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, that's a pretty good list there, Ron. Cooper Cobras, both trans brake and Muncie 4-speed. I like the trans brake. I think it's great. I like manual transmissions too. Levi wants the class to take off. Well, you got to build for it then. You got to be the change you want to see. Don't let other people make it great. Then you say, okay, I'll join it now, because you have to be those people to make it happen. If everybody else waits for everybody else to fire the first shot, nobody ever will. I mean, so you got to be one of the ones building the car to do it the first year. Be an OG. Oh, yeah. So this, I remember calling saying something about this. Mama M3 says a local track had a stock class, and it stated AC and 17-inch stock tires. So the 71 Dark couldn't run in it. See, I hate that. So Jed just swung in to say hello and hi and say thank you. Well, thank you, Jed. Appreciate you coming by, man. A budget class would be great, but always gets out of hand. I see no way to enforce a budget class. If somebody looks upon a great deal, there will be somebody say, oh, that doesn't meet the budget. Then you'd have to get into claimers to try to do it. And I just, you know what? I really don't want the No Name Nationals to turn into this jousting of rules against one another. So far, it's just a big cookout in the middle of the country with all of our friends, and the drag race breaks out, and I think it's great. Jack stands at Cinder Blocks. Casey says, I plan to have at least one car racing in 2025 No Name Nationals been called out in the mill truck. It lacks a few parts to pass tech. Well, come on, man. We'll get it there. That sounds great. Are you allowed to run the AC on the track? No, you're not, because it drips water all over the track. Shop 209 says a class that requires AC and the heat to be on the car, but it's a newer class. Yeah, you can have the air conditioning on, but you can't run it because the water that drips off of the evaporator core will get all over the track. You'll have water all over the starting line, right in front of where the rear tires are hooking up. That's a disaster waiting to happen. It's funny, you talk about a nostalgia class these days. You can put antique tags on a car from 1999. It's kind of funny what people are going to be calling nostalgia. Bigfoots and Mopar says it's a fun, friendly hangout where I crush Lee, T's Good Times Garage, and Joe. Oh, you know what? That one right there is good. I'm gonna put that up and save it because I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna save that, send that to Joe and T. Make sure they get that. And it's at 9:04, so I know I'll remember the time. Shots fired, Bigfoots and Mopars. Well, I got to tell you, the call outs really were such a much bigger part of the first year. And we had a lot of people, didn't get their cars together and that kind of thing. But we still had a lot more call outs in such the first year. And I think we ought to get back to that because now a lot of people who didn't get cars together now have cars together. And it will be really good to see more of that. More match racing for 2025. It's good stuff. B&R suggesting only factory iron heads for class or factory aluminum, no aftermarket. Yeah, see, it's so hard to try to make a fair class, and you'll always have people complain that their particular combination, their make, is at the disadvantage. And I've just seen enough of that and had enough of that. Rabbit Transit Garage Jay says, I have a feeling the call outs are going to explode this year. I do too. I think a lot of things are going to take off for this year. I see a lot of things from 2024 that tell me I think 2025 is going to be the biggest and best yet. Nostalgia Racing Keystone is 1990 and older. It was 78 and older. So I can run an 89 Hyundai Excel in Nostalgia there. That's pretty cool. Uh-oh, Lee is already answering the call. Looks like we're going to have to break out the old Bigfoot. No two steps allowed. I think a delay box should have been invented. That's why you have a no box bracket. Yeah, indirect connections. As I say, everyone has to run a poly. There are no aftermarket parts. I really don't want to get into too much, all these class rule prohibitions, because if you think about it, our event is really unique in that it has YouTubers building the cars of their imaginations and their dreams. And if you start trying to get people to build just to class rules, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with classes. Classes are great. If you want to do a car for a class, that's great. But I want there to always be a place for everybody's cars and the stuff they want to build just because they want to build it. That's important. We want to keep that. Very important. The Super is an 89, makes it nostalgic. I'm telling you. 1989 was 35 years ago. The call outs the first year were great. Yeah, come get in on that, John. Call some shots. You have a good time. You'll have a good time with us. That whole crew that comes out to Sykeston, we have a lot of new faces every year too. It's good stuff. Never even thought about the rules building my dream car. Yes, exactly. Build what you want. If you like the challenge of class racing and want to build to that, then do that. If you just want to build whatever your imagination says to build that. That's exactly what Dust Devil Brian did. He wants his car to look like a real life Hot Wheels car, and that's exactly what he did. Pre-79 gassers and all. Yeah. That's all good stuff. Shop 209 says he's coming out. We look forward to it, man. Be good to meet you in person. Yeah, I see a few people that were asleep and woke up in the chat, which is good. Jack Stan says the mill truck was built to tow my RV. Making it pass tech will just make it safer. Yes. That's the thing about passing tech. Once you pass it and you get your vehicles caught up, it just makes them safer on the street too. I don't know what that means, BNR. He says, I'll be up your way before next fall. I'll stop by if we can set it up. Bigfoots and Mopar says, I'm trying to get Mrs. Foots to be my backup girl. Can we air condition the starting line? That's a good question for Ron. Ron, what do you think? You think we can open the door of the tower and just get the air conditioning to get down there? Most of the old parts says put him down for $100 for the pot on a manual transmission shootout prize money. Yeah, sounds good to me. I'd like to do just a Saturday bracket with manual transmissions to get more manual transmission cars there, but there's no reason we couldn't do something else with them too. I just like to see a lot more manual transmissions. We had a lot more Fords this year. We had a lot more Pontiacs the second year. Had a lot of manual transmission cars the first year. I'd like to see. Ron's like, nope. Was it hot this year? Yeah, it was pretty good, warm. It's really not even that it was that hot. It was just really humid. But I got to tell you, the weather's not bad. We did have a little bit of rain at the beginning of the burnout competition, or right before it. Track crew came out. They dried that place, did a great job. There's a wonderful track staff there. They got the burnout pit all dried off, and so our burnout competition was a little bit late starting, but it was great. And no rain at all for the event. We did move up finals a little bit on Saturday just to make sure that we weren't going to get hit by the rain because there was rain coming, but we never really got any rain on the Saturday, so it was good. About how many stick cars raced this year? I don't know off the top of my head. That's a real good question. I'd have to go down through the list and look. Only one that you know of. No, there were more than that. Walter was out there, but there were others. Don't forget, Lee has a stick car too. He's got that Lenco and that Dart. Warning Labels Racing. That's our friend Auto Salvage Outlaw's new channel. Warning Labels Racing. Can't imagine how some of the track staff was up Saturday morning and stayed up drinking till 2. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I mean, that whole weekend, you spend a lot of energy. I bet you I didn't get 12, 15 hours of sleep the whole week I was there. I was up so late every night and up so early, but I'm working on adjusting that for next year. Yes, No Name Nationals was indeed a blast. Yeah, there weren't as many manual transmission cars there. We had more the first year. But the thing is, there was a lot of people that weren't there for different reasons. Some people brought different cars. I just want to see more stick cars there in 2025. If you think about it, if the No Name Nationals had been around 50 years ago, people would say, man, I'd like to have seen some automatic cars there. It's just wild how things change. A lot of fast ones there. Yes, there were. Dean should have the B there. Yeah, the Brewers. Yeah, right. So there were a lot. Roland couldn't make it. Dean couldn't make it in the B. There were a lot of 4-speed cars that should have been there that weren't, unfortunately. Just for various different reasons, things happening, But that said, I'd really like to see a lot more come out. Miss seeing Roland? Yeah. Roland told me in February he had something that wrecked his schedule and couldn't make it. Roland sent us a couple of trophies from Torque Racing Productions too, which was very nice of him. Jack Stands at Cinder Block says, I'll have some sort of AC in my pits next year. Okay. Do remember, though, as of right now, power is kind of scarce. Diecast Dream Customs. Hey, Lee, got another 4-speed sitting around down there? You want to give Vic the Lenco out of your Dart? No, I like just all kind of manual transmissions. I like the automatics too. I wouldn't mind seeing more trans brake automatics too. I mean, you know. Never touch the clutch again. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I don't care if people want to modify their transmissions to be clutchless. That's fine. We've been on the hunt for a backup ourselves. Yeah, those Lencos are they're really cool. Indirect Connection said I had a 1-speed this year. It didn't shift to second until right before I let off the finish line. 64 miles per hour in first. How many RPM were you turning, Jason? My gosh, how is that possible? Casey says, I also got fussed at for running a generator to charge some tools so late. Well, you know, try to be courteous to your neighbors and all that. I know that one dude was there running a generator all night, caused Dallas to move across the pits because it was just so loud. I mean, I thought the weather was perfect for sleeping. You sure didn't need it for air conditioning. Temperature tonight was 62 degrees. It was nice. Good sleeping weather. Walter was through most of the way through fourth at the end. Yeah, Walter's car could. What kind of gear? What kind of gear do you have in the rear end of that Mustang with that 6-cylinder, Walter? That car ran really good. Walter was. He really was a good story this year. No monkey bikes after 10 o'clock. Depends what they're doing. Do remember, though, the track operators live right there at the property. So we want to be courteous to them. Hazard fraught fuming noise generator. That little Mustang was fast? Yes, it was. B&R says a Ford 5.0 BorgWarner T5 will take 500 horsepower for a while. Just don't downshift at high speeds. It will blow up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my friend Robert, who died 6 years ago now, he was Mr. 4-Speed. Built the top loader Fords. He would love this No Name Nationals, and he would be all about the 4-speed manual transmission to run on Saturday. 380 with a short tire. Yep. And you're only turning 4,000 RPM with that 6? Really? Wow. That thing makes pretty good power. Yeah, Dizzy had to leave right before the Barkley and Dallas match race. Yeah, that was great. What a great match race that was. Had it all. That was exciting. And the inverter generator thought was pretty quick. Yeah, I don't know. I was so busy the whole time. I just wouldn't know. Didn't get any real hangout time. T, see you, buddy. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing you back in 2025. We're going to have a really stout Friday bracket in 2025. I know it. All of our stuff's gotten more competitive every year. It's a lot of fun. Ford had the strongest manual 4-speed, I heard, top loader. I would agree with that. I think the Ford top loader, I think of the production 4-speeds between Ford, GM, and Chrysler, Ford's was the toughest. And if you've ever looked at a top loader, they didn't have the forks on the cover on the side. They had the forks went through the case, and then the cover was just plain on the top. It was a strong design. My buddy Robert ran a top loader down to 830 in the quarter. Kept the front wheels off through 2 gears. Casey says the wife had a blast back next year. Can she build a car on the channel to compete against me? If she's on your channel, if she's a part of your channel, yeah, sure. People do that all the time. She needs to be part of the channel, integrated into what you do. Look at Bad Tree. I mean, last year we had Jeremy and J-Bo and Blake, and they're all on the same channel, but they're all 3-channel regulars, yeah. But it was neat seeing all 3 of them running last year. Ron says the 833 was a choice of pro stock racing. 833 is a great transmission. If I had to say stock for stock, I think the top loader is probably a little tougher. Top loader was better shifting, but the 833 would handle the abuse better. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, Ron knows a lot about them. I've got to do a little bit of work on my buddy's top loader stuff. It's interesting. Diecast Dream says Foggy's bringing a ride next year too. Yeah, all I would say to you guys is we want people who are integrated into your channels. That's the whole purpose of the channels and the 500 subs, is to make sure that people integrate into this community and we all know each other. And that's the point. That's why we do that. BNR says a 3-speed manual was stock in the 64 and 66 GTO. Well, I didn't know that. I know it's unusual to see a 3-speed manual behind a 340, but I think you could get them. I've actually heard of a few that had them from the factory. Are you wanting a bracket manual stick class? Yes. Yes. A bracket for the stick cars. This year we had a novice bracket on Saturday, and it was great. We had a lot of people turn out for it. I'd like to see the same for a stick car class on Saturday, a bracket for stick cars only, if we'd have enough. But we'll see. I'm not committing to that just yet, but if there's enough interest, I'd sure like to do it. Well, so Ron's looked online to do a G-Force 5-speed for his Roadrunner Gladys. Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't cheap. Oh. But if you did that, would that be a 5-speed with overdrive? Is that the idea there? Or does it have a deep first so you can run the rear end a little bit less gear in the rear? Is that kind of the idea, Ron? B&R saying the Ford 3-speed Pontiac used for a while was bought from Ford. That's interesting. Yeah, you guys know all kinds of interesting things I'd never heard of. Deep first with a 355 gear for the highway. Yeah, that'll work. And so is 5th direct drive on that G-Force, and it's close ratio with 5 gears? Is that kind of what I'm guessing there? Definitely be a challenge. Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of. Well, let me tell you, it was a stick car that won the Saturday bracket this year, and it wasn't a stick car bracket. He just won it, which is great. Ford had a top loader 3-speed. Yes, they did. And if you sneak those into a 4-speed class, they do pretty well. Yeah, direct driving 5th. Yeah, it sounds like a strong setup too. Main Street Mopar says, maybe I'll have my D100 ready for 2025. I'd like to run in the stick class. Whether you do or not, get your other truck ready. Just go through a 904 and stick in it and bring it, man. You know what? I'll do this for you. If you want to get your transmission sorted out in your other, this is just a backup idea. You want to get your transmission sorted out in your other truck to bring it. I'll do a live. If y'all tell me in the chat if you want to see this, I'll do a live stream on my channel, and we'll do it with Ken there, Mean Street Mopar, and he can do a tailgate rebuild on his Torque Flight, and we'll walk him through it to put it back in the truck, however long it takes. The stream might be 6 hours or whatever, 8 hours. I don't care. Who all wants to see that? Live with Mean Street Mopar and me. Might get, depending on what day and all it is, we might get Cope in on it, and we'll have a transmission tech live stream for him to straighten out his transmission in his truck. Most of the old parts says G-Force is practically bulletproof, especially at Gladys Power. Oh, yeah, they're great transmissions. That's what Bob Reed ran. He ran a G-Force. Ran a G-Force behind that Hemi of his, and he was running deep. And what was he running? He was running 850s and that, 60s. Top loader like a washer? Yes, Vic. The transmissions themselves had a plate on the top, and you took off of it. You could actually take the shifter off, and like in trucks where there's that big hole where the transmission tunnel is, you could actually take the top plate off, see the gears, the transmission still in the vehicle. Okay, Levi's sending me parts for the trophy next year for the Kaboom Trophy. Good deal. Exciting. Yep, as they describe it, cover on the top of the transmission. Yes. Yeah, just Google image search it. They're pretty neat looking. And he ran that with a Mr. Gasket vertical gate shifter. I believe his son still has it, and it still sits there on the bench in the same place. I know in the past I have put up a community post with a picture of that car, and I have links to where a channel named Andy Hawks, and I believe he's run down at Elk Creek or Farmington or wherever, and it's got the only video of that car on YouTube I can find. Cultured Redneck says, I just stepped in and I'm hearing stick shift talk. What did I miss? I'm thinking of making the Saturday bracket at No Name Nationals in 2025 a stick car bracket. And of course, if we have stick cars there, we could always do heads up and call out stuff with stick cars too. We just need to get them to the event. Mohawk says, hi guys, and John Wilburn. What, am I not a guy? I don't know where I relinquished my status as a guy. Glad you're here, Mohawk. What did his car weigh? Oh, it was 2,700 maybe. It was a pretty light car. Hot Nancy says, I love driving a stick shift. Been a while since I've driven one, though. Hot Nancy's superwoman. She can do anything. Drive a manual transmission, driver van, move a piano from the upstairs to downstairs in a house by herself. She can do anything. I would like for her to be able to come to No Name Nationals next year. I think she'd have a lot of fun with you guys. Levi, I'd like to hear a modified production class. Oh, I love them, but I mean, you know, it's an expensive class. I mean, I'd like to see it. As a VW dude, I'd be down for that. Right on. I think it's great. Out of town and the phone is dying. Yeah, I hear that. Well, I'm not trying to jinx myself, but I'm 3/4 of the way through the live, And I'm using my regular camera on my computer and it's not croaked yet. How amazing is that? I literally think that where the temperature has cooled down from summer, it's made just enough difference with my computer graphics card that it's not freaking out my camera anymore. I really think that's all it is. Junior modified eliminator. Yeah, I mean, I love those kind of cars, Ron. Can't get the clutch pushed in on the car right now. Yeah, I wondered if that car, how the clutch was going to do. That car still has the original clutch from the cornfield or whatever, doesn't it, Vic? Am I still using that Pentium 1? I am using a Toshiba that I know is probably, I bet it's at least 13, 14 years old, maybe 15. It totally works for what I need, except needs a little more horsepower for streaming because they keep, you need to have a little more computer for what all that they do with StreamYard. And they made a change a while back this computer did not like. But I'm going to upgrade hardware pretty soon. Mostly old parts and Rust Patrick is here. Clutch is still in good order, just the hip. Okay, well, maybe they'll fix that with parts too. You never know. Dr. Go, catching up. Glad you're here, Dr. Go. What a great name that is for a channel. And it's on his license plate. He is Dr. Go. Having a stick shift class with clutch pedal, no name. Yeah, I like to see it. I mean, I'd like to see anything. Don't get me wrong. You know, bring your cars that are automatic and trans brake stuff and manual valve body and bring it all. CVT, clutch flight, I don't care. All sounds good to me. Cultured Redneck says, I was actually surprised how consistent I could be with my 4-speed dune buggy during the Friday brackets. Yeah, people loved seeing that car there. Mohawk was at the VA hospital, got his knee checked out, and it's okay. Then stop at a little shop we all know heading home. Yeah, okay. Assuming JB's little shop. Cope is in here, says, what's up, Doc? You may want to check with Deke before you run clutch flights. Well, you can make them safer. I just think they're neat. Wait, did I hear a stick shift class? I would like to run, if there's enough interest, a stick shift bracket on the Saturday at the 2025 No Name Nationals. This year we had a beginner's bracket. Not saying we couldn't do that again, but I would like to see more stick shift cars turn out. I think it'd be pretty cool. But you know, I think that stuff's neat. I just don't know anything about it. Glad you could make it by, Patrick. And by the way, that box of cookies and Jackie's is fumes. They were delicious. I got exactly one. Fantastic. Please tell her we said thank you. Clutch flights were amazing until they went boom. Yeah, I hear you. .333 with a stick, I could be into that. Yeah, it's the place to ask about that stuff is on the Wednesday night tech talk. That's a Dallas and Professor P thing. I'm entered into a raffle for a car that meets it just need a motor. That's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? I don't know. NSB lost one tree in the backyard, no flood. They're in Florida and lost one tree to a hurricane. My property in Bluefield, West Virginia lost 4 trees, and it's in the mountains in Bluefield, West Virginia, and lost 4 trees. Totally off topic, but where's a good place to put the sending unit for a transmission temperature gauge on a 727? That's a great Coke question. Yeah, the damage at Bradenton. Yeah, there was a lot of damage down there. I saw a thumbnail on one of Cletus's videos where it looked like he had a lot of damage. They saw wind gusts of 99 miles an hour. Wow. Wow. Maybe I could bring the 65 Dart GT. It has a 4-speed. Yeah, I'm not saying, by all means, bring whatever. I'm just saying it would be kind of neat to have a stick car bracket. Danny Boyd, I used to watch Cletus every day. I've only seen a few of his videos. It's okay. It's How many guys do you need to have a stick class at No Name Nationals in 2025? I don't know. A 16-car field sure would be nice. But I'm thinking a stick bracket, a full field stick bracket, and then obviously, if you have all of those cars coming, you could also do some great call-outs, heads-up stuff, pro tree stuff. You could also do that too. He's afraid Cletus will die in an aircraft. I can see that. Well, Victor, what you need is more gear in the rear end. So if the car had an 8 3/4, you could drive it there with a 276 and then switch the chunk out the track to a 430 or whatever. We've had people do that before. Most of the old parts says 99 winds are crazy. Yes. Wow. And they saw 80 near Wichita. Wow. In one gust. Most of the old parts in Rust is just a tail shaft to convert a B-body 4-speed to an A-body 4-speed. I'm sure you would need at least an output shaft and housing, at least. But I don't really know. That's a great question. Yeah, output shaft too, as Ron says. Yeah, he definitely would have to have a different output shaft and housing. But beyond that, I don't know. The person to ask is Brewer or Cope. Cope may well know too. He's done a lot of them himself. It's not necessarily what he's known for, but he has done a lot of them. But look up Brewer Racing here on YouTube. That's what they do. Clutch Flight Turbo 400. I don't know. I find them intriguing. Oil pan or low reverse servo. Okay. What does that go with? Evans Mopar's working on the next Charger video. Cool. I like seeing that come together. Most of the old parts and Russ says if I had the correct shifter mounting, I could make a shorter drive shaft. So my buddy that ran the 4-speed stuff, he actually ran the long tail shaft top loaders because he said he thought it gave him an advantage in them not breaking because they have more torsional give to them from the shock. And so he always had more luck running the longer tail shafts. And the drive shaft in that car was nothing because it was a 71 Comet, which is the Maverick body, real short little drive shaft. And he had drive shaft loops front and rear. The car had sheet aluminum interior. And he broke a rear U-joint once, said the drive shaft was swinging around in the car like a mace. So most of the old parts says A-body 833 had its own tail shaft housing and shifter position. Yeah, it did have a different shifter position on that housing. I've seen a B-body, but it had a goofy. Yeah, correct. Yeah. You could Google a picture of that. And Ron, what was the one? Was it A and an E-body where you would see two shifter mounting bosses on the same tail shaft housing? Was that for A and E-body? Wasn't that something they did there for a while? Because I have one of those, and I don't even know exactly what it is. I just got it in a bunch of junk that came with a 340 one time. Yeah, E-body had two shifter locations. Right. I knew it was something like that. Because that transmission came with a really nice, it came with a really nice pistol grip shifter. And the guy had it in a Duster. Anyway, he wrecked the Duster. And his old man sold the engine, the transmission, and all kinds of stuff. And I got it all dirt cheap. Came out of a garage in Princeton, West Virginia, years back. I did a short on the shifter. Warning Labels Racing's out. Catch you later, man. Rabbit Transit J said, I sold all my A-body 4-speed stuff like an idiot. Yeah, I hear that. Jay's car ran really well. Jay, what were you running down there? What was your Dart running? That car moves on pretty good. A Mopar Barracuda won the World Outlaw Wheel. Yeah. Yeah, we know. A top loader with two shifter mounting bosses. Cool. Ford Pinto 90 degrees in the air. Yeah. Oil temp sensor on a 727. Okay. You just now catching up? Find what that went with. Oil pan or low reverse servo. Okay. So Copa's saying you just mount it in the pan where it dumps back in there and you get the hot oil, I guess. Find out your temperature. Okay. So Brian, put your oil temperature sensor in the pan. Or when you say low reverse servo, you talking about the port where you pressure check it? Put it right on there? Most of the old parts is B-body 4-speed. Blues busted knuckles on the ashtray. Yes, that is correct. Patrick says I have a 70 B-body pistol grip for my 70 Charger. Yep. I like the pistol grip only in 70 and up. I'm kind of weird like that. I like rally wheels only 70 and up. I like some things that are kind of more true to the period in which they were made. That's just me. I mean, you do whatever you want to do, obviously, but I'm not a big fan of like rallies on a 68 model car, for example, and like the high impact colors. I'm more, I like the eras because the 70s and 60s had different personalities and they were all great. And yeah, another reminder that Warning Labels Racing is our friend Auto Salvage Outlaws, Millard. B&R, no. I am way too busy for that, but I do enjoy watching you guys, and it's good stuff. One pass I ran second to the end of the eighth with 391s. What did you run though, Jay? Hurst T handle. Some 67, 69 darts and a sublime or bright orange. Yeah, I mean, I like like a vitamin C orange and all, but I actually really like a vitamin C orange on a 69 Roadrunner. But the cars that had the darker colors, I like them better. The dog dish wheel covers and so forth. I just like the eras to kind of be like they were. That's just me. And then some things I don't mind at all switching out. Like I like running a later model transmission, like say an 80s, 90s transmission in those older cars. They made a lot of good functional improvements. Max Wedge Dick Dastry says, I sold my 71 RT pistol grip for 25 and never did get paid. No, you didn't sell it. You gave it away. That's what's called giving it away. Selling it means they pay you for it. Max Wedge Dick Dastry, you going to come race with us in 2025? $9.5 best. That car really launched so smooth and moved out good early on. Unfinished project, put up the link for Max Wedge Dick Dastardly. He is still some subs short of his 500, but I'm quite confident he will get them this year. We'd love to see him come out and run with us. He's a great guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting Max Wedge Dick Dastardly in person. He's a good dude. Very nice guy. He was on a live with Don English and Wendy English and I and Ron English. We were all live from their place in Williamsport, Pennsylvania here this spring. Is a blast. Hoosier Garage Adam, how's it going? Long time no chat. Well, we're here every Friday, 7 to 9 Central Time. Glad you could make it out. Dizzy said Turbo Tom gave him an Avenger Factory sales banner. Very cool. Turbo Tom is a good dude. I appreciate him. I really hope he comes back out the No Name Nationals in 2025. Yeah, Rabbit Transit J's got to work some bugs out. Yeah, I think that car's got a lot more in it. I think that's an 8-second car. Indirect Connection wants to know if Hoosier Adams bringing his Duster next year. You want to, man? Ron, thank you for joining us, my man. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming out. The voice of the No Name Nationals, Mr. Ron Ward, is out. Thanks for joining us, though. Dr. Go says, I have to thank Hoosier for his video of the Indianapolis Mopar swap. Because of him, I found the heads I was looking for. Cool. I've been to the Indy swap exactly once, and I saw Hoosier Adam there, and I bought some sheet metal from him. Yeah, hopefully it works out, man. Dart Sport. That's right. You should come by, Indy. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know. It's a possibility. We'll see. 38 Racing asks, this might be subjective, but what is fast for a streetcar in the eighth? That's extremely subjective. One guy says it's fast, another guy will say it's sitting still. He's doing a mild restoration on an 1890s house as well. Okay, yeah. That's a lot of work. Turbo Thompson, I think I'm going to bring Rob's Rods and Streetcars in 2025. Good luck. Rob and Jason, I believe they made it there the first year or the second year, one of those two. They didn't make it. I think they were there the first year and didn't make it the second or third because they had stuff come up. But yeah, I'd love for those guys to come back. Rob and Jason are both great. What are you running into in that 1890s remodel? Knob and tube wiring, and what kind of stuff are you running into? I've had more than my fill of working on old house blues. Dr. Go's going to take 300 pounds of stuff out of the trunk of his car and go faster. Yeah, that will definitely do it. Max Wedge Dick Duster says, I need a Sugar Mama sponsor. That one's on you if you want to pay the tax on it. Dizzy says it was fun. Yeah, it's always fun having Dizzy out. Glad Dizzy comes out. Gas lines used as conduit for old K&T style wiring. Yeah. I saw a house here in town that had been restored from 1860, I think. And they had one little section of knob and tube left in the house. And they had some glass fuses, I want to say. And they literally, they left the box there, but it was for show. Put a glass cover on it and just left it in place, even though none of the wiring still goes through that. They just did it almost like a framed picture on the wall. It's pretty cool. It's over in the Cambria area of Christiansburg, which is a real old part of town. Dean runs 740 in the eighth. It's pretty quick. Yeah. Hoosiers running into stuff that the past owner did. Shoddy work. A lot of updates in the 50s and 60s. Yeah, I see a lot of that. Houses that have had some partial restoration work done in the past. It's kind of hard to deal with. Yeah, I've run into that kind of stuff. Transom windows and trim, etc. He wants to put the Victorian porches back on later. Oh, cool. Very cool. Well, I want to see that now. That sounds like a neat house. The wiring is a mix of 1930s and modern. We'll likely upgrade the box. Yeah, that's a good upgrade. You should do that. That's of course, that's coming from a guy that has two Federal Pacific boxes in one house. All my other stuff has really good boxes in it, and this house has two Federal Pacifics. Isn't that terrible? Blue Grit says that when he lived in the Hill neighborhood, his house built in 1900 originally had no electricity in an outhouse. Yeah, actually, I looked at a house this morning that did not have an indoor bathroom when it was built. It all had the plumbing put in later. A lot of the really old houses around. We have some log houses in this area of the county. It's the McCoy area of Montgomery County. It's a very old area. Houses from the 1700s. Patrick says 699 or faster in the eighth is starting to get pretty fast. Yeah, it is. That's a quick car. Federal Pacific, yeah, I have two of them. The electricity that you're watching this stream on is coming through a Federal Pacific box. Got copper pipe, that's a plus. I don't have old galvanized pipe, but I do have Federal Pacific box. One of these days. But I have really nice Square D and Cutler Hammer boxes in everything else. So this is the last one that needs upgrading. Turbo Tom says, my house is 1840, all new wiring and plumbing. Cool. The house that has all the trees down, brand new box, all new wiring. Every piece of wire in that house is new, from where it comes off the power pole to the switches to the bulbs. New box and everything. And no, it was not cheap. All new PEX from the meter on the street, through the yard, to the faucets, drain piping, to the sewer. All new. Hoosier says, I'm filming some of the projects, might turn it into a channel itself. Yeah, man, that'd be cool. I'd subscribe. Turbo Tom's house is 1840. That's a true antebellum house. That's cool. We have a handful of those around here. We have 2 or 3 right here in town, but when you get out in the county, we have some older houses. I know there's one 1773 house up the road that way. We've got some in Giles County that are that old. We do have some from the 1770s. Those are the oldest houses in this county. Danny Boyd says, I found some heavy-duty outdoor extension cords used as a leg to a light switch. Yeah. Max Wage Dick Dashwood says, half the wiring in my house is so old the plug-ins don't have grounds in half the house. No, I can believe that. Not Nancy says, get it fixed, don't wait for a fire. He's just talking about the 2-pronged outlets, but just don't use them with 3-pronged stuff. But yeah. Around here, there's either cabins that old or houses like mine from the 1870s and up. Yeah. Well, this house is 1973. It's probably the worst houses made. If I had to put a year on it, I'm going to say like 1981. If I had to stick a year on it, it's probably about the worst. Danny Boyd says my own house is 1910. Yeah. 1840s, the knob and tube wiring. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, to look at that stuff and how they installed it scares me to death. And I had a lot of that stuff in that old house in Bluefield. Just driving metal staples on cloth jacketed wire. I'm like, man, what are you doing? He says, my whole house is framed in real 2x4 and Vicar oak. Yes. That's one thing I love about the old houses. The sawmill lumber and that 3/4 inch oak and stuff is great. The roof sheeting on my house is actually oak 3/4 inch flooring. They took leftover oak 3/4 hardwood floor and sheeted the roof and put shingles on it. I was shocked. First time that house had some roof damage and needed fixing, I built what we called staircase to heaven, like Led Zeppelin. It went up on the roof, and it was great because you could just walk right up that thing like stairs. Set all your stuff, set your shingles. It was wonderful for working on a roof. And the city hated it. They said, that thing's dangerous. I said, are you kidding me? It's way safer than a ladder. They're no fun. But anyway, when I got to peel the shingles off, I just couldn't believe it. It's actual hardwood flooring. That's about like mine. The slats on the roof is 1-inch oak. Yeah, right, exactly. And I had to match it with 3/4 plywood where I had to fix some stuff. That's how the house survived the fire. Old mill lumber, yes. Well, guys, we're at our time. I don't know if Tony's live tonight or not, or anyone else is, but we're at our time. It's 10 o'clock here in the East. It's been fun as always. Love having a good crowd out on Friday nights. We're going to have more stuff, more fun stuff in the off season. I plan to do a stream with, Tony is live. Okay, Tony will be live here in just a few. Good deal. I thought I had seen the thumbnail for that. So Tony's Hot Rod Garage will be live here in just a second. I'll hand off to him. I'm going to try to do a live stream maybe later in the season with some of the viewers who don't post content, but the regulars. I think that might be fun. And we'll probably have some interview guests and stuff. But, this is the off season for me, and I enjoy it. No number on the orange paper. We just do whatever we want. So anyway, thank you guys for coming out. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys all again next Friday. Later.